As most of you know, my name is Sanjay Grover. I'm the Director of Financial Ministry for our diocese. And my primary responsibility is managing the finances of our diocese, which includes parish ministries and community ministries and other departments such as consolidated trust funds, Cathedral Hill Foundation, Hollier House. So there is a lot of entities that we are managing for our diocese at Ascension House, and anything financial in that aspect falls under the financial ministry, and myself and my staff. Introducing my staff, we're a staff of 3, including myself. We have Sandra Purdy, who most of you have likely dealt with on the payroll side. Her responsibility is managing our payroll, the biweekly payroll for all the diocesan staff. And as far as numbers are concerned, we are getting close to 400 across our diocese, 400 staff members, including lay staff, clergy, and community ministry management and staff. And second person in our office is Bill Gilbert, and he is kind of our archives. He's, I think, at the moment, other than the bishop, the longest serving member of our diocese. And he has a lot of experience. Actually, they both have a lot of experience. And Bill manages I think I'm almost sure all of you have dealt with him over the years. He manages the ECOPS, clergy compensation side of things, and PPS. And he also takes care of the monthly financial statements for community ministries, to name a few things. Moving forward. I'm going to start talking about stuff that is essential at parish levels, which is the internal controls. As far as being an accountant, that's kind of my bread and butter as to making sure there is assurance for our stakeholders, which is yourself, includes yourself, that we provide assurance that our assets are protected, and there's no waste and fraud and theft and so on. So I think that's the key reason behind having a strong set of internal controls. And ensure our reporting is accurate as far as to the parish councils, vestry, synod, and the CRA filings. And in all of this, we're trying to make sure that our reputation, which is should not be at risk as far as individual parishes and community ministries and our diocese across the board. I think that's if an untoward event were to happen, I think it has an impact, and I think we should be careful around those things. As far as principles around internal controls, responsibilities within a parish should be clearly established, whether it's the wardens, treasurers, clergy. I think that's important to have those responsibilities documented and understood among all the senior staff at the parish level. We want to make sure adequate records are maintained as far as bookkeeping is concerned, and also things are documented as far as decisions are made within the parish through different whether it's a parish council meeting, property meeting. I think to make sure the decisions made there are well documented. And just another example is to make sure our assets are adequately insured. I know Joel talked about it earlier. I think that it's important, as far as part of a good set of internal controls to ensure, that our insurance is adequately covered. Moving on. Now, certain examples of internal controls on our receipt side of things, donations or money coming in through grants. We want to make sure that there is a separation of duties so that people or staff or members handling receipts and having custody and depositing, and keeping records are different people to make sure, things don't go sideways. All receipts are deposited, promptly. And when I talk about having a segregation of people handling receipts and having custody, I know there's a factor of obviously, avoiding misappropriations and whatnot, but also the optics of it in the sense that, sure, everybody's honest, but to an outsider coming in, if those things are not properly delineated, it's an optics thing that to making sure things are signed off, and I know we are all trusting, but at the same time, policies and procedures are put in place so that person who's auditing the books has some assurance that these things are being followed. Moving forward, disbursements. So payments made out to different parties for payment of bills and whatnot, and generally in our sector, checks are the primary means of payments. So we want to make sure checks are all pre-numbered, they are put in a secure place, and not left lying about, because we have had instances where outsiders have gotten access to a stock of checks and have written checks. And in this case, it was contractors, cleaning contractors, who I'm just giving an example, where they found the checks and wrote, fortunately these were not very, very significant amounts, but still, a few $1,000s in total. And they signed the checks, and the bank, everything is automated, cashed those checks, and the person reconciling the bank realized, oh, these were not, appropriate transactions. So we contacted the bank, and eventually, the bank refunded us because they didn't match the signatures on the check and what they had, on our file as specimen signatures of our signing officers. So funds were reimbursed, but it took months, and the stress that causes within the parish, for that to happen. So it's important that we lock those checks away. And another thing is, when a check requisition, or what we call vouchers at our end at Ascension House, are presented for signatures on checks, we want to make sure all the supporting documents are included as well. A voucher document, a copy of the receipts or invoices, and so that the person signing off on the checks is well aware of what's going on. And we also want to make sure that there's two people signing all the checks. And also, if a person is the payee on a check, they should never be signing it, just to make sure a third person signs those checks. And and obviously never sign a blank check and leave it in a file. Moving forward, sorry, I'll pick it up later. We're going to talk about our audit. All parishes are required by our CBRs to have an annual audit, and things around audit are that any audit that we're paying for, the parish is paying for, has to be done by a licensed auditor. That is a requirement, a government requirement. If it's being done pro bono, which is meaning that we are not paying for it and somebody's doing it out of their goodwill, for that we do not require a person to be a CPA or a licensed auditor. So that's just wanted to make that clear. But now over the years there have been a lot of questions around that. So just wanted to make that clear. As far as reporting, on a quarterly or an annual basis, we do have, again in our CBRs, financial statements have to be presented quarterly to the parish council. Audited financial statements annually to the vestry. Statistical returns, financial statements, and reconciliation between the statistical returns and the financial statements to the diocese, as per our schedule. And then charity returns, information returns to be filed with CRA 6 months after year end, so end of June. Next topic of conversation is parish proportional share, PPS. As you're aware, the diocese budgets are funded from various sources. Investment income, which is investments in our CTF, dividends, and at times the principal form part of our revenue at our diocese. Grants, fees we charge to community ministries, and contributions from all parishes, which is the aforesaid PPS. The calculation of PPS is the starting point is the stat return that you fill out and send to us. There's a lot of detail in the next 3 or 4 slides, but I'm going to go off topic a little, not off topic, but off the slides a little bit, and try to explain it using an example. So when a parish fills out a statistical return and sends it to us, there's certain aspects of it where you have the income in there and some allowable deductions from it. And from that, we calculate the assessable income for the parish for the current year. And we run a running total of the last 3 years. It's for this year, it's going to be the last 3 years, and the next year, the oldest year will drop off and the newest year will come on. So that's a parish's assessable income, and we average it over 3 years. So we add it all up and then divide it by 3 to keep a running average. What that does is if a parish has significant increases or decreases in income year after year, it smooths things out, and their parish bill for PPS doesn't fluctuate significantly. And there's no significant changes, and just smooths things over as far as managing parish finances is concerned. Having said that, we then the next step is to take every single parish's statistical return and their 3-year average and add them all together. So if there's 70 parishes, we take all of their returns and add them together to form a total assessable income across the diocese. So in order to calculate the PPS, we take parish A's 3-year average income and divide it by the overall parish income across the diocese to calculate a percentage in order to calculate the PPS. So that percentage becomes the base where we take the diocesan budget, in this case it's about $1.5 million, and if a parish, let's say, is 5%, so their PPS becomes $75,000 for the year. There's very few parishes that are at 5%, a lot of them are much lower, but this is a hypothetical example that I'm presenting. So that's how a parish's PPS is determined. Their income vis-a-vis the overall diocesan income times the diocesan budget line on the PPS. In case there is issues where a parish is a bit concerned filling out their stat return, that they had certain anomalies, certain mistakes made in the past, there's a review panel that reviews and provides relief if needed to the parish in the calculation of the PPS, but that has to be done prior to the calculation of the PPS. Once the PPS is calculated, then it becomes a challenge to make any changes. So if you are in that situation and you have seen major fluctuations or certain, a large expense that comes through the end of the year, or let's say the roof needs replacement, or a large request comes through, and you feel that it's important that somebody at the diocese knows and looks at the returns carefully while calculating your PPS, please feel free to contact myself or Bill, and we can refer you to the panel which reviews them and provide you with a deadline to submit an application there. Having said that, this generally happens pre-synod, and the meeting, it fluctuates every year, and it's generally in late September, early October. And by then you already know your year's financials as far as any substantial events that are happening at the parish. So that kind of is a summary on the PPS, and there's a lot more detail in the slides, and these slides will be in the manual and on the website. So if you have any further questions, please feel free to ask me now or at a later date. That's not a and Bill and I can explain them. I just told Bill can explain it quite well because he's in the nuts and bolts and doing the individual calculations. I generally come in at a review stage, but both of us are available to help and walk you through it. I know it's a complex area. The next step we're going to move to is ECOPS. ECOPS is equalized cost of priestly services. As most of you are aware, that our stipends for clergy are calculated through the stipendary scales and the years of they have been in service and licensed. And those scales are on our website and are freely available. So that's how we pay our clergy. There's a panel that meets every fall to approve and recommend if there's any changes, but and it's every fall annually for the next coming year to determine clergy stipends. Once we know that, then the ECOPS calculation comes in. A clergy gets paid a certain amount, but that's not what gets billed to the parish for that clergy. The reasoning behind it is that, and this was implemented about 10, 11 years ago, is to kind of help the bishop put in clergy where they are an experienced clergy, for example, at a parish where they are desperately needed, but the parish might not be able to afford that clergy. So that's the philosophy behind it. It gives the bishop a bit more freedom in making those decisions as to where clergy go and how their compensation is recovered. As you're aware, when we all clergy are diocesan employees and staff members, and we pay them through our central pay, and those payments are recovered from the parishes through ECOPS. Once we know in the fall the total number of clergy and the overall compensation that will be paid to them, which includes the stipends, all the benefits, and their travel. This does not include housing. We have a total amount of payroll for next year for clergy. So hypothetically speaking, let's say it's $5 million. Again, it's just an example. So the diocese will pay out $5 million in clergy compensation, and then we have to receive it back through billings to the parishes to make us whole. In those billings, as I mentioned, the philosophy behind ECOPS, we have two sort of categories. One is what we call base COPS, and the second is what we call equalization. Base COPS is a calculation based on total compensation paid to a clergy in their first year after ordination. That's what base COPS would be, plus their travel. And we do that for every single clergy in the diocese, regardless of how much experience they have or not. That's what we call a base COPS. So when we take that base COPS and add all the base COPS for, let's say, for the 100 clergy that, again, that's an example that we have, let's say it recovers us, $4 million of the, I said $5 million earlier. The remaining $1 million comes from the equalization portion. And the way equalization portion is calculated is that $1 million that's left over times your PPS percentage. As I mentioned earlier, there's a percentage we calculate. So that's how we equalize. So the richer parishes, so to speak, or who are doing well, pay more, and parishes who are not doing so well pay a lesser charge. So there is, a relief that is provided to certain parishes. Having reviewed the stats, most parishes are pretty close to what the actual cost of the clergy are. Some, are slightly lower, and some are slightly higher. But that's a policy that was implemented about 10 years ago. I'm hoping this is helping and confusing a bit more, but we can I can answer questions later on this area. I know it is, again, both PPS and ECOPS are a bit complex and at times hard to get your head around. It took me my first year to really figure it out to what was going on, because I've never seen payroll done this way before. Moving forward, I know Joel covered insurance earlier. I'm not sure how much, sorry I missed it, but I'm not sure how much.
Only the property related elements.
Okay. We do have quite a comprehensive, coverage as far as our plan through Ecclesiastical, who we have used for years. And I'm sure you guys have all noticed your premiums over the last 5 years, how they've gone up post-COVID. There was a lot of debate over the last 2 or 3 years whether we should stay with Ecclesiastical or not, and also quite a bit of a conversation between the dioceses across Ontario to kind of work out on other alternatives, and it's still ongoing. But what has helped from that discussion is that Ecclesiastical has kind of realized that we are all talking to each other and we are all their clients. So if we decide to make a move, it would be a very significant loss for them. So last year, the premiums were slightly increased by, the insured values were increased by about 3%, which is the property values. But we were able to manage in such a way that none of the premiums across our diocese went up. We were able to stabilize, from year to year, from 24 to 25, and the premiums didn't go up. They went up slightly, but our diocese was able to absorb those increases. So that was a good news story that the premiums did not go up. And just to give you examples of what kind of coverages we have, it's as Joel mentioned, it's property, furnace, liability, abuse, directors and officers, to name a few. So this is quite a significant package, and the overall cost of insurance is in excess of $750,000 across our diocese, which I've been here close to 9.5, 10 years, has almost doubled from when I came into our diocese. That's a factor of us having increased our coverage as far as values of properties is concerned, and what the markets have done over the last few years, and the prices have shot up because of significant losses. As earlier aware, we had a significant loss, I guess first significant one a couple of years ago at St. Luke's, but before that, Ecclesiastical used to call us the poster child as far as claims history was concerned. We had rarely had any significant claims. Talking about property, did we talk about deductibles on the property? Oh, so I will skip that one. Okay. Next issue is third-party insurance. Third-party insurance is for people who use our facilities for events or licensing or sort of short-term renters. We have a program in place for that because our insurance policy does not cover third-party use of our assets, which whether it's rectories or our churches or halls. Those have to be insured separately. In some cases, the renters would come in and come in with their own insurance policy. I think I'm cutting out. Can you hear me? And the renters would come in and would have their own policies in place. In those cases, they provide us with an insurance certificate, and if it's adequate, we will accept it and we move on. If they do not have it, we ask them to go get it, and if they're unable to do so, then we have a program in place where we have a third-party insurance set up for those types of clients. There's a website that they can log in, throw in their credit card, the dates of the event, and the coverage, and the minimum is $2 million. And once the payment is done, they get a copy of their insurance certificate, which they provide to whoever's managing the event from our church's perspective, and then our office at Ascension House also gets a copy of the insurance certificate. So that's how we run that program. It used to be more manual, but over the last 3 years, it has been automated, and there isn't as much staff involvement as far as Ascension House is concerned, other than receiving the insurance certificate. If you have any questions, there's a page on our website and contact information at Hub, who is our insurance broker, and they have staff there to support you. If there is any issues as far as customer service issues, my office and my staff are available to answer any questions and assist, and Joel and Amy are there as well in case there's issues to deal with Hub that they're not able to resolve properly. Next thing I'm going to move over to is CTF. As most of you are aware, we do have an investment arm which is called, Consolidated Trust Funds, CTF. It was established in the 1970s to manage, as a collective, to manage our funds that we gain through bequests or and whatnot, and our sale of properties as well. The value of that fund is at the moment close to 66 million. Well, I haven't checked in the last couple of days, so we all know what the markets are doing. but it's in excess of $60 million. When I joined the diocese, we were at about 35 million. So in those 10 years, even with all the fluctuations, COVID, we have been able to have a very stable return and very stable growth. Our funds are invested through RVC, who have been our brokers since I believe it's been about 15 years, and we have had a very good working relationship with them. It's the funding, as far as their use of our funds to invest, is managed through the Property and Finance Committee and the Investment Subcommittee of the Finance Committee, which is a pretty robust subcommittee. Can you imagine, right? Managing the biggest asset, one single asset we have. So there is an investment policy that is in place, which is on our website as well, and it keeps being updated at least once a year to ensure it's in line with what the markets are doing. And we always keep looking for different areas. 2 years ago, we went into real estate because we'd never been in real estate prior to that. And that was the last big change that we made. And also that takes into account ethical investing as well. So we don't invest in, petroleum products, guns, weapons of any kind, and cigarettes, that sort of and that policy, the investment policy, provides that direction to RBC PHNN to kind of address our investment needs. And the subcommittee meets on a quarterly basis, and although we get monthly reports from RBC as to what our funds are doing, but as far as official meetings, it's quarterly, where they come in and walk us through what has transpired over the last 3 months, and these are the results, and how does it compare to the baseline and the markets, and what the short-term projections are like, and if there's any immediate need to make some changes, then they do provide a recommendation. So that's on the investment side. But when a parish sends us funds, we manage those funds internally as a mutual fund, even though they're in the markets are invested all lump sum together in different products. But internally, we manage it as a mutual fund. So if a parish sends us $20,000, or for example, they get X number of units issued to them based on the market value of the overall fund in the previous quarter. So they get a portion of that overall fund, and based on that, they do receive quarterly dividends, which are again established by the Property and Finance Committee and Investment Subcommittee, and the rate is calculated on an annual basis. And right now, I believe it's $3 per unit per year, and it's distributed on a quarterly basis. It's quite a conservative, it turns out about just over 4% return on investment from the funds that are invested, even though our general returns are higher. But having this sort of a low and stable rate helps us manage, because most parishes is part of their budget, the dividend amount, and so again to bring stability, we keep the returns or the dividends at a low rate. So in bad years where the markets are crashing and there's no dividend or no returns, we are still able to offer the same amount of dividends, on a consistent basis, so that the parishes know how much they will be receiving as dividends, regardless of what the markets do. So I think that's the philosophy behind having a conservative but a stable rate of return as far as dividends are concerned for the parishes. Moving forward, I think one of the last items on my list here, Property and Finance Committee. Property and Finance Committee is the financial management committee for our diocese, and it reports to the Diocesan Council, obviously, which reports to the Synod. They meet every second Wednesday of the month, which is coming up next week, and for this month. And there's 2 months that the committee doesn't meet, and that is in July and August. But other than that, there's 10 meetings a year, and agenda items are from a parish perspective is, I'll just throw out some examples. If you want to withhold some funds that were bequested and there's a certain reason for it, and not put it in the CTF, there's a request, you can do that through the Property and Finance Committee. Any substantial repairs, renovations, additions, or any which is over $50,000, that require diocesan approval through the Property and Finance Committee as well. Again, an example. Permission to sell properties. Well, that's quite obvious, because properties are held in trust for the diocese by the parishes. So whether it's a rectory or a church or a chapel that had closed down, if you want to sell it, then it has to go through the bishop's office and then through Property and Finance Committee. If you want to withdraw significant amounts of funds from your CTF, there's governance in place, and if it's 50,000 and over, it requires Property and Finance Committee approval as well. I think these are some examples where we need to be aware of the PNF schedule, and also there's a couple of sheets on our website, and I think even in the manual as well, which provides you with a grid as to what and whose approval is needed for which category that I just mentioned, and the amounts that are at play. So that will help you make a determination as to who needs to approve as far as the dollar thresholds are concerned. I think that was it for me. I'm open to questions. Okay, so I get it correctly, your question as to what the pension plan is and how it is funded?
Yes.
Right, okay. Yeah, years ago we did not have a very good pension plan. And right now, through our central, as Anglicans and Anglican Diocese of Canada, all of our benefits are run through their office in Toronto, and it's a substantial pension fund. And as far as who pays for it, obviously there's an employee portion and the employer portion, and that's built into the ECOPS pool, and the funds go to Toronto. And they invest it because there's a separate corporation, that invests, runs the pension program and the benefits program through Manulife across the country. And that gives us a much more, we would be at a loss if we were doing it individually. So as a collective, it gives us, and the markets gives us a lot more bargaining power with it. It's not a very, very large fund compared to, for example, the teachers or the Canada Posts, but it's still substantial as far as giving us the buying power in the markets. Hope that answers. Yes. Again, the question being a clarification on the third-party insurance and who is considered an external renter. And the answer to that question is the only thing that is covered as far as events like today is if they're organized by the parish or the church. Anything else, if a parishioner, as you said, were to rent a hall for an event, that is a third-party rental. They are not organizing it on behalf of the parish. They are organizing, it's a personal event, whether it's a birthday party, wedding, that is considered a third-party rental and requires insurance. So the question being, well, payments to the diocese, not to other vendors, to the diocese for parish dues, for an example. Right now it's paid by check. And you're asking if that e-transfer is okay or not.
Well, are we headed in that direction?
Yes. Some parishes are already paying, it depends on what you consider an e-transfer. Email, no. But if it's through electronic funds transfer, yes. Some parishes are already doing it. And if you contact us, we will provide you with details to be able to do so. But email transfers, no, we don't subscribe to that, and likely will not in the near future as well. Thank you very much, everybody. Much appreciated.